Hey, so there's a lot of talk about crystals and even to branching or just another extent. There is talk of like astrology or numerology or healing, uh, different ways to consult or check or connect with uh, spirit or source or whatever you want to call it. But something that's always been consistent within my school, within the group that I roll with, is that it's about your vibration, your frequency. So if you look at me right now, my my mind, my soul, my spirit has a certain frequency to it. There's a certain vibrational pattern that is emitting from wherever. You can map it out in your body. You can say it's like more non-local or quantum or everywhere all at once. Um, but I wanted to make this video as like a helpful tool or reference guide um, to maybe reframe how to approach any tool that you want to use, because people tend to turn to um, let's say like astrology is like the biggest one, probably astrology, crystals, numerology to a lesser extent, a freaking Ouija board. um, but the biggest thing is your your home vibration, so to speak. So if I'm not super connected or aware of my vibration, it's gonna take me places. And really, one of the biggest patterns that's gonna play out is consigning or delegating my deciding power, my ability to connect with myself and my inner guidance, consign that to an outside source, to something that is not me or is like a different aspect of me. There's a whole rabbit hole you can go down in that one. But I would say the fun thing about this is uh, that the subconscious uses our senses, um, to put it lightly. Tip of the iceberg is like it uses our senses to interpret the world around us. And especially in Western society today, what is prioritized is production and consumption. So being a successful or productive member of society, a valued member of society, tends to. I just noticed my hairline is receding and it's bothering me. There we go. It tends to narrow our focus, right? Like my okay. It tends to narrow our focus, and disconnect us from that internal sense of vibration. The universe is telling us what's going on, and our bodies, especially, are telling us what's going on at all times. A big part of meditation is shutting the fuck up and listening to what's being said. So like a quick super like a quick I did a video on this of just like getting to the meat and potatoes of meditation. I just did it right now. But yeah, it's just sitting and feeling what there is to be felt. That is your vibration. And how you feel about it is where thoughts tend to come in, right? You may have heard that our thoughts are not our own. We don't think our thoughts, they just kind of happen. But to kind of ground that, especially in psychology, is to say that our internal monologue is more of like an internalized script both like a play from or a movie script, but also like JavaScript, like coding script. Um, it's an internalized script of the things that the programs, let's say, that our parents were running in their parental program, whatever, that we then internalized. How we got treated, how we uh, allowed ourselves to be treated in times that we didn't know any better. These are the programs that we're kind of running today. And another part of just sitting down and to listening in a way that is observant, not listening in a way that is listening to or being taught to, listening to whatever the script is and be like, oh wow, that's just having like a healthy distance from it, a healthy boundary. Because if you don't have those healthy boundaries, then anything and everything that your mind is monologuing is going to be taken as fact, when that's just not the case. So you're listening to your vibration, what your frequency is creating in terms of a pattern. I really like the phrase train of thought, because I live here in Chicago, and the loop, is just ubiquitous with the city and public transportation. The loop itself is where it's at the heart of downtown, where all the train lines come in from all parts of the city, come in, loop around, and then go back out to their point of origin. But thoughts can be very, very similar. If you notice them, or if you observe them for long enough, you'll start to see not only the pattern in thought, but also the triggers for certain lines of thinking, how affirmations and embodying and experimenting, especially with certain types of energy, like, the hero pose or the thinker, right? Even my voice got a little lower to match that archetypical pattern. So once you start exploring what your vibration is, another fun tool that you can use, add to your repertoire, is feeling something. I can grab one of my paintings here, like this one, and just hold it. There's a dog here, though. Hold it, and as I become more intimately familiar with what my vibration feels like, I can then, like, once I'm familiar with that, and I really have that kind of memorized as to like what that's like slight, ever so subtle buzzing, that subtle energy is emanating from me, I can then start to see and experiment with how other things affect that vibration, or kind of interrupt or influence that pattern in vibration. So this is kind of a long-winded explanatory way of saying that if you're into crystals, if you're into tarot or astrology or numerology, the best thing that you can do is to just sit with it, right? If you grab like a stone, like this is amethyst, my friend Brittany gave me. I can just sit with it and feel like I'm not like, ooh, what does this feel like? Oh, I'm feeling something, right? It really is just a matter, like the same way that you listen to your vibration, you feel it. You feel like a rock in your hand, a stone, a crystal, a toothbrush, and coming back to like the way our subconscious works is like, the point of me bringing that up was to say that there's so much being left out that the mind is still picking up on. And so once you start to like train this dormant muscle is when you can really start to get a feel for the world around you. And so it's not really happening to you. It's a very playful and interactive way to approach life. It's said that there are people who can touch an object and get like images or flashes, excuse me, of what, like where the object's been, who's been in contact with it. And I can go deeper into that as well. I'm getting messages. And yeah, like it's pretty wild what we can do as people. There's so much that's not conducive in terms of not conducive to being a productive or consumerist human being, and so it gets left out or discarded, or when people talk about it, it's like diminished or whatever. But anything that can make you or help you be more playful, imaginative, in a way that's not, self-conscious, self-scrutinizing, self-diminishing, I would argue, is well worth your time. Because just like listening to your own vibration, what it feels like to be you, until you really take the time to do that, like why would anyone else want to do that? And especially if you've been diminished or silenced in your life, you can listen to you. Like bare minimum, no one owes you their time and attention. But if you start to get to know your own, that's when your consciousness expands. And a more physical, material way of interpreting that is that your subconscious opens up to new possibilities and new opportunities. If you're bored with life, I would say take an interest in yourself. I can't remember the last time, like, I used to feel boredom, and I can't remember the last time I honestly felt bored. I forget what that feeling feels like. But that's because I've learned that I can take an interest in myself. I can, not just, that's like a very rudimentary way of saying it, but like there's just so much to the human body, the way it stores information, the way it learns certain things, and it's a crazy machine, like an organic, but whatever. But just, that was like the main point of the video, was to grab an object, sit with it, and feel its vibration, and see what kind of images, words, descriptors start to pop up. Not ones that you think of. There's a difference. It'll be like a flash of inspiration or like an idea. One of the ways that it was described to me was, this is by guides and ascended masters and stuff. The way it was described to me is like, the way that I received it was, imagine there's a dark room, and someone flashes on the light and then turns it back off. Like a second, maybe a second. You get an impression of the room, and that's what you're kind of like working off of. The way people say like a picture is worth 1,000 words is because in a second uh, your subconscious, your spirit, your soul sees the truth, and then the programming comes in, and I'm remembering an X, and starts to like protect you from it or interpret it in a certain way, read positive or negative intention. Excuse me. And yeah, the more you can just practice that silence and observation, the more accurate you will be with interpreting and reading energies and vibrations. Cool. That's it.